Today, I'm going to tell you a tale about the time I got mugged in Colombia and how that helped me find myself. And Chamillionaire.
They see me rolling, they hating, patrolling and
Quick disclaimer, what happened to me in Colombia should not be a reflection on Colombia or its inhabitants at all. I was shown nothing but kindness and generosity my entire time there. And what happened to me was entirely due to my stupid mistakes and could have easily happened in New York or Los Angeles. So yeah, disclaimer over. It was a cold winter in 2011. I had recently given up on my dream of making it as a feature filmmaker and was struggling to find a new dream, a new identity. And that's when I came across the 4-hour work week. I drank the Kool-Aid, and from that moment on, I found my new dream. To become Tim Ferriss. To become a digital nomad. And with some hard work, I restructured my entire freelance filmmaking business and was then able to live and work from anywhere I had a Wi-Fi connection. And then it was time to travel. I followed the standard digital nomad template and started with a backpacking trip in Thailand, then a month-long stay in Berlin, and finally ended up in Medellin, Colombia. And for 5 weeks, I pretty much lived the American tourist dream. Private salsa lessons every other day, drank lots of aguardiente, late nights dancing to reggaeton, and even dated a Colombian bailarina, a dancer. What more could you ask for, right? Well, 5 weeks flew by like that, and before I knew it, it was my last night. My friends threw me a despedida, a farewell party, and I swear it was like out of a movie. All these characters I met over the past few months all showed up. The crazy trilingual Swedish sisters, the backpacking Canadian fiancés, the reggaeton producer who became my best Colombian parcero. And the night was a whirlwind of pizza cooking, drinking, and dancing. And by the time I checked my watch, it was already 4 a.m. It was time to make a few last heartfelt goodbyes. And then I grabbed a cab with Anna, the Colombian woman I was dating, and we booked it out of there. And this is where I began to make a series of 4 big mistakes. Mistake number 1, I was trying to get some. Since I started dating Anna, we encountered a few problems. First, we had to communicate entirely through hand gestures. Thanks for nothing, AP Spanish. And second, we had trouble finding privacy. Fun fact, a lot of Colombians in their 20s live at home with their parents. Another fun fact, I was living with a host family where the mom forbade me from ever bringing anyone home. So that's how we ended up on Carrera 70, Street 70, at 4 a.m. looking for a hotel room. Mistake number 2, I was being a cheap ass. Look, it was the last day of my trip. I was just trying to stay under budget, okay? So we get dropped off at this not entirely shitty looking budget hotel. The price was right, the place was clean, and the price was right. We'll take it. Wait, what's that? You don't accept cards? Crap. I didn't have enough cash on me. So we stumbled back out onto the street, and that's when I realized my next mistake. Mistake number 3. I was drunk. Okay, maybe I'm just making excuses here, but thanks to the despedida, I was not in the sharpest state of mind. But even in my drunken state, I noticed how quiet the street was. Now, Street 70 is a major street, usually bustling with people everywhere. But tonight, it was dead, and it was a little unsettling. Anyways, we find another hotel, and oh boy, it's one of those fancy white draped curtain hotels I was trying to avoid. I could tell by the cheesy vest the clerks were wearing that I wasn't going to like the price. I asked for the price, and they told me I didn't like it. So we turned back, ready to continue the search, and with one hand on Anna's back, I reached out with the other to open the glass door when I suddenly paused. You know those moments in your life where you look back and think, damn, I'd give anything to redo that. This was that moment, that fork in the road, that choose your own adventure cliffhanger. I looked out the glass door and saw some local dudes chilling in the street. There must have been like 5 of them, but since I'm in storytelling mode, let's round that up to 7. A few were walking around, others were peeing, but they didn't look like one cohesive group. They were just spread out enough that it looked like, some random separate dudes kicking it in the street. But my gut knew something was up. Alarm bells were ringing in my stomach. deep down inside, I knew we shouldn't be walking out there. But that's when I made my last and biggest mistake. Mistake number 4. I didn't trust my gut. See, my gut is always right, but I don't always listen to it. You know why? Because my head is so much damn louder. And as soon as I felt something was wrong, my head decided to just butt itself in. Hey, Jaemin, what's wrong? It's just a few Colombian guys chilling in the street. Oh, you think they're dangerous just because they're Colombian? No, dude. Damn, that's racist. Are you racist, Jaemin? What? No, something just doesn't feel right. And not only are you racist, you're scared too, huh? What's your girl gonna think about that? You know, I bet she's wondering right now why you're acting like such a little bitch. Okay. You win. And with that, I took a deep breath, pulled Anna in close, and pushed open that door. And we started walking, fast. I glanced behind me and saw the hotel clerks craning their necks forward, like they were expecting something to happen. Not good. With our shoulders huddled together, we quickly passed by the guys outside. Hey, that wasn't so bad. Oh shit. Out of my peripheral vision, I saw movement. The dudes were moving closer together. They weren't just random people kicking it on the street. They were one cohesive group, and they were starting to follow us. Shit. We kicked up our pace. I could feel Anna gripping me tighter. I looked ahead and spotted an open shop about a block away. Everything else was closed. The Colombian dude started walking faster. Fuck. If we could just make it to that shop. It's only 50 feet away. 40, 30. And that's when the shit hit the fan. Before we could even react, the footsteps behind us broke into a run, and they were on us. In a split second, Anna got ripped away from me. I felt something cut into my arm, and I turned to look. One of the muggers was holding Anna with one arm, and with the other was pointing a knife right at me. The guy with the knife started yelling, "Toros, toros, everything!" And without any hesitation, I gave him exactly that. I fished into my pockets and pulled out everything I could find. My camera, my wallet, my necklace, hell, even my Burt's Bees chapstick. And as the leader held on to Anna, the other 6 guys started snatching my shit like kids in a candy store. I mean, it was almost comical. They would each grab something from me, start running, then double back and grab something else. And then just like that, it was over. Within 5 seconds, they had pulled a knife on us, grabbed all our shit, and they were running down the street like giddy children. And that's when the emotions finally hit us. Anna immediately burst into tears. And me? The only emotion I felt was anger at myself. I was pissed that I didn't listen to my gut, that I stupidly ignored the warning signs. And worst of all, I put this poor woman in danger because of my dumbass. And in a burst of rage, I grabbed the one thing they didn't take, a wooden bracelet my friend had given me before the trip. And I ripped it off and just smashed it onto the ground. And as I watched the wooden beads roll down the sidewalk, my anger began to dissipate. And then I realized how lucky we were. Yeah, they took our stuff, but it was all material things, easily replaceable. But the 2 of us were alive and unharmed. Thank God. And on top of that, my passport was safely tucked away in my room, so I'd still be able to catch my flight in 6 hours. And yeah, I couldn't pay for a cab or call anyone. But luckily, my place wasn't too far of a walk from here. I just needed my... Oh, they took my keys too? Come on! Funnily enough, this was the hardest part of the night for me. Remember how I said I was living with a Colombian family? Well, the host mom was already annoyed anytime I went out past 10 p.m. So I'm sure you can imagine the look on her face when I had to ring the doorbell, waking up the entire family at 5 a.m. while drunk with a crying Colombian woman by my side. Yeah, not exactly how I wanted to say goodbye. But after I got scolded, the family was really supportive. They helped me cancel all my cards, promised to help me file a police report in the morning, and got a hold of Anna's parents, who sent a cab for her. When the cab arrived, I hugged Anna goodbye and told her I was so sorry. And she shushed me, saying, "Mi amor, all that matters is that we are safe. They may have taken our things, but they will never take away our beautiful, lovely memories together." At least that's what I think she said. Anyways, 6 hours later, I was on a flight back to California and could hardly believe any of this had happened. I went off to Colombia looking for adventure and excitement, and I most definitely got that. Now, this is where that story used to end. But in the 7 years since then, two things have happened that I want to update you on. The first is that I wrote up that story and posted it on my blog, which somehow got discovered by Houston rapper Chamillionaire, famous for his hit single, Ridin' Dirty.
They see me rolling, they hating, patrolling and trying to catch me riding dirty.
And he liked my story so much, he reposted it on his blog and then ended up calling me, and we talked on the phone for over an hour. He's actually a really nice, really intelligent dude. Did you know a lot of his songs are actually about socially conscious issues? For example, his hit song, "They see me rolling, they hating, patrolling and trying to catch me riding dirty." It's about racial profiling. I know. But I digress. The second thing is that in the 7 years since that mugging, I've realized that that incident taught me one of the most valuable lessons of my life: the wisdom in trusting my gut over my head. See, your head is a sponge. All it knows is what it absorbs from the world around you. And when you live your life from there, you live your life according to what your culture thinks, what your friends and family think, what that random dude who you'll never see again thinks. But when you live life from your gut, from that deeper knowing, you feel your way through life. It's completely internal. You feel what resonates for you, what lights you up, what shuts you down. When you make that your compass, you begin to verge off the main path and start walking your path. Case in point, if I'd been able to listen to my gut all those years ago, not only would I have not gotten mugged, but I wouldn't have even gone to Colombia in the first place. See, it may have looked like I was living the traveler's dream from your Facebook feed, but inside, I was miserable, lost, confused. I admit it, I had a shitty time living it up in Colombia. And if I was able to listen to my gut back then, it would have been screaming, "Dude, what are you doing? You're just trying to keep this traveler identity alive, trying to prove to others you live this exciting life. My dude, you're depressed, feeling disconnected from life, numb. You need to explore that, reconnect with yourself, not run off chasing some shiny new experiences." But I didn't listen. And apparently getting mugged by knife point was the wake-up call I needed. Since then, I have been listening. I've made listening to my gut the single most important practice in my life. And it's caused my life to unfold in ways that my head could have never imagined. But my gut somehow knew is what I needed. It's what led me towards moving into a 38-person mansion, even though I was a super sensitive sleeper with a deep need for privacy. But that ended up being one of the best decisions I ever made, introducing me to the amazing SF community scene, which is a gift that just keeps on giving. It's what led me to dive into therapy, even though my pride hated the idea, and helped me heal from trauma I didn't even know was there, and allowed me to open up to emotions and tears I never thought I'd be able to access. And the more I trust in that deeper knowing, the more life continues to open and blossom and become more fulfilling and deep and silly and sweet. But more importantly, the more it becomes an authentic life. My life, not anyone else's. Not Tim Ferriss's or Chamillionaire's, not for my Facebook friends or my Twitter followers. It's become a life perfectly tailored to my needs and desires, my strengths and my struggles. With that, I no longer feel lost or confused. I no longer need to find a shiny new identity or search for some exciting new dream. Because for the first time ever, I'm already where I want to be. That doesn't mean my life's perfect. No way. But it's finally a life that's perfectly mine. And to find it, all I had to do was give up my wallet, my camera, my pride, and my Burt's Bees chapstick. Not a bad trade.